to be standing here doing what my fellow ladies are doing here. So it's a bit nerve-wracking to stand here and see all of you from this here, but you look beautiful from up here. You look amazing. So to start on, my name is Hilda Murugi Njeru. I come from Kenya. Fun fact, do you know any fun facts about Kenya? Anyone? Anyone? The country with a national park in the middle of the city? You should visit. One of the things we do. So right into the gist of what I'm doing. So aside from being a sign language interpreter, from a passionate point of view, I work in a corporate company. And from that corporate, I have learned quite a lot of things which I would really like to share with us and partners to see how best we can improve the culture. And today I'll be speaking about how sign language interpreters can transform the workplace and the things that we can do, not just to be a tick box in the corporate, because I have been in that space where you have felt like a tick box, but to actually have impact in what we do. So pretty much we talk about education in the for young or deaf learners from when they go to school up until university, but we also need to really have conversations around how their success, whenever they go in the workplace, how is their life, how is their progression, how do things move on for them. And that is the gist of my conversation, because I have had deaf colleagues within the company that I work for, and I ask myself a lot of questions. Do they feel included? Is it just a tick box? Are we just saying we are inclusive? Whenever we have those diversity and inclusion sessions in the corporate space, are we just saying it or actually living it? So for me, the single question really over the years as a sign language has been, how can they feel part of the conversation? And that is what I am really passionate on speaking about. So for me, I have experienced meetings, next slide please. Meetings without interpretation, or when it's there, or there's that conversation around, you know, there's going to be a live transcription for you. So we really should have conversations around that, processes that really put people out. So it could be unintentional or innocent, but it still somehow ends up happening. We also look at digital platforms. I mentioned that I do work for a tech company. So whenever we have things like apps, are they accessible? Are they in a language that can be understood? Many a times you see apps that maybe speak to a language that is not very clear to the deaf. You know, how can we adapt it to a Kenyan sign language or an African sign language, or whichever country there is? How can we be able to adapt it so that they also feel part of the conversation? So inclusion is spoken about, but the real question really has to be, is it practiced? Next slide, please. So pretty much inclusion is really speaks about giving people access. Next, other than that, it really speaks about giving access. In my space, I have really seen a point where proximity really reveals the gaps. So aside from, you know, you as an interpreter, you get into the space, you do your role, and then you go. Then what next? It really has to do with making sure that you are an advocate for the deaf whenever they have questions in this corporate space. Yeah, make sure we need to really make sure that their voice is heard and not just seen for as a tick box in that point. As I spoke about advocacy. I also spoke about being a strategic partner, because whenever, for example, we are coming for solutions, we say there's nothing for us without us. So if we are coming up with solutions and they are part of it, it is important for the deaf voice to be heard, not just to be seen, to make sure that within the progression, because the whole point is for them, everybody, to succeed in whichever field that they're in, to be able to get to the top levels of success that they can be able to get to. So that really is the gist of what I do. We have had basic sign language training. Next, please. I seem to be a fast speaker. I am cruising through the slides. But speaks so much about some of the things that we've been doing. And really, this was something that we had picked from Vodacom essay. they had basic sign language training for you know the deaf staff. The deaf staff are the ones that were actually running the training for the customers or the staff that interact with other deaf customers, so that whenever, for example, a customer comes to the corporate space or a deaf person comes, there's at least that basic understanding that it's not the first thing. I'm not giving you a paper and a pen to write as the first thing without necessarily even greeting you first. So that gives inclusion of the deaf a sense of belonging, and we've done that. We've seen to it that at least there's some sense of connection. It's not ideal, and of course it is work in progress. We don't really speak of perfection, but we speak of the progress that has been seen through running at least basic sign language program where people can be able to interact with the deaf, not gatekeeping, you know, making sure that the smaller the number that can communicate with the deaf, the better. No, it's in opening it up and seeing more and more people get involved in the process. So we also have seen things about support in terms of onboarding processes. Next slide, please. Whenever, it's not just being an interpreter, like I said, we look at things in terms of things like onboarding processes. Whenever maybe the deaf get jobs, you're making sure that in my space, for example, really advocate for the smooth onboarding process. Whenever there are those performance reviews where maybe my boss is not deaf, so they may not really understand the nuances of what I would need to do or the kind of support that I would need. So making sure that conversations around performance reviews, training and development, because you know, I've just gotten a job. There's much more that I can do. And if we're saying that the world is your oyster for every other person, then that should still be true for the deaf. Yes, we have to make sure that we include them in every single way or in every single framework, making sure that professional interpreters are strategic partners to not afterthoughts, like I said, whenever we are in conversations that need to be heard. And like I spoke on, going on next, it really has to do with collaborating among cross teams, making sure that inclusion is there, and not just on that front. It's in HR teams, it's in learning and development, it's in our inclusion, which I believe here we are a lot of partners that are in that space, in the diversity and inclusion space, making sure that we really advocate for the deaf people. Has to do with embedding accessibility whenever we are creating a customer journey, for example, or anything that anyone would need to do on a digital app. For example, anything, even if it's a mobile money app, for example, is there an inclusion thought that has gone into it? And of course, customer experience, that is very key whenever we talk about deaf customers and the experience that they get to feel, and our role as an interpreter in making sure that happens and making sure that smooth experience is gone. So next we are going to talk about technology and the role of tech. And someone here, there was a speaker here, I don't know if she was Uganda. She was Ugandan. Yes, this lady. She spoke about how tech is going to take away our jobs and AI in the morning, yeah? And I would like to, I don't know if I can a bit respond to that. I don't think tech will take away our jobs in that sense. I don't know if it's a general feeling, but I do believe that there's quite a lot that we can do. It can use we can use it to be able to enhance the way, the ability, or the way in which we are, the quality of interpreters we are, the quality of work we do as deaf individuals. We can be able to use it to be able to enforce and do better with it without it necessarily taking our jobs away. But that's of course on a light note. So I spoke about AI-powered captioning. Yeah, I hope we are on that front, yes. And this is some of the feedbacks, and I don't know if the deaf have experienced it, whereby whenever we use closed captioning, sometimes the speaker, what is going to be written down there is not what the speaker is actually talking about. So sometimes it's not usually very clear, and So that is one of the things that AI can be used to make sure that it gets the natural human speech convention of a person such that it picks exactly what you're saying in a way that a deaf person can be able to understand, and not necessarily just translating maybe from English or whatever language the speaker is using. So that is one of the things that AI can be able to plug in. Of course, on video relay services as well, whereby people can be able to get access whenever everybody is like, call customer care, do this, but with innovations such as video relay services and accessible platforms whereby sign language is integrated and not just text, you can see how much technology has the potential of being used to make sure that the deaf or we create an inclusive world, not just for the deaf. So speak on that, we have an innovation that is going to be known as Jali, which is care in Swahili, and it's pretty much making sure that we are able to support, customers or people that are deaf that actually need services, and that is what I'm speaking on. There's a real innovation that I would really like to speak on. There was a Kenyan innovator. Next slide. His name is a gentleman by the name Eli Savatia. He actually won the African Prize for the engineering innovation for developing a service known as a TAP 360. It was an AI-powered app that translated speech into sign language, and it was using 3D avatars. So that was quite impressionable because there was, it was fulfilling a need that was need to be there. And he did win actually over £50,000 from the Royal Academy. So I use that, or I pick that as an example, not only for us here in the room, but also even for young people and everybody actually, because tech and us, our involvement is for everybody. Let us think outside the box to see how better we can be able to come up with ideas like what Ellie did, to see how best we can be able to use tech to amplify the human experience. So, of course, we have challenges. We know the deaf are brilliant in their own way, practical ideas. And the reason why I'm always so passionate about involving the deaf in the practical ideas, it really has to do with the fact that they are speaking from a lived experience. It's not an idea. It's not something that I'm thinking about or thinking or imagining of how it could work out. For the deaf, it's an actual lived experience. So if I'm coming up with a solution, I am doing so on the precipice of it is what I go through on a daily basis. So I feel, so the deaf really, we're able to reach out to customers, we're able to create awareness about sign language, and I believe I speak, is my time done? Okay. I'll cruise through. So I'm talking about making communication friendly and not intimidating, and also embedding sign language on every step of the way. So it is through structure, investment, and through championing. And making sure that we in the room here and having conversations like this actually see what we can to make it happen. Next slide, please. No, next two, actually, as I wind up. Yeah, next one. Next, please, call to action as we end. Yes, what needs to happen next? Top of my mind, involve deaf early. Not at the end, not at the point where we've created a product, and then towards the end we're thinking, is it inclusive enough? Did we figure things out? Did we incorporate how a blind user is going to use this, service? So always make sure that we're really advocating for policy to make sure that there's that conversation. We don't wait for complaints that, hey, this is not working for us to be able to do that. Also investment in training. We can never understate the importance of that. The importance of training, even if it's basic sign language, so that more people can be able to speak more towards the deaf. Empowering deaf led awareness initiatives, and that actually speaks to bringing all of us to the table. And finally, we treat inclusion as a living practice. So it's not just a statement on the wall where we say we are inclusive enough, it is what we feel, experience, and remember. Next slide, please. Oh, that's it. That's it for me. Yeah, so I think I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for your time. In case there are any questions, perhaps she can take us through. But thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause. A round of applause. We are now going to receive only 2 questions.
What if in a place there is no anyone who knows sign language and somebody can't and they can't talk to the deaf person and the child can't talk to the teacher to what's wrong?
And the question is addressed to, we have two presenters.
Yes.
Rachel.
What if in a place there's nobody who knows sign language and people there can talk to a child who doesn't know sign language and the child can tell the teacher what's wrong?
Thank you very much. I think it is connected to the story I was taught about, where the child went to school, but the teachers are not able to support him. There is no teacher who knows sign language, and then the child dropped out. I think it is very important that to school there must be someone who can help a child in order to avoid exclusion. Our story, our boy Jean-Claude was excluded because there is no someone to help him. But through the commitment of his brother to be trained on sign language, Jean-Claude stayed to school and performed well. I think this is.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next question. Okay.
Okay, thank you for another opportunity. So my question is directed to Murugi. And now that she's in tech company, there are a lot of applications that are coming up, especially in Kenya. We have apps meant to help the deaf. But when you try to get the feedback from them, it's that they do not fully benefit from the application. As an expert, apart from including them, and the challenge which we usually have of not having a standardized Kenyan Sign Language, what advice can you give to ensure that those who are coming up with applications, for instance, where I come in, the organization I do represent, which is Kenya Revenue Authority, they do they're in the process of developing an app, but how will we ensure that it fully benefits all the deaf? Thank you.
Oops. Thank you very much for that question. You said your name is? Lucy, Lucia. That's a pleasure to hear from you, Lucy. So to answer you, like I said, I will retaliate what I mentioned on involving the deaf. The moment you involve them, I hear you about them not feeling involved, especially with regards to digital apps that are involved when it comes to that, but you cannot have a framework for having change without involving the deaf as to what has to happen. Like in my lived experience, sometimes the apps or the digital platforms are in a different language, a language that the deaf do not understand. So now we have to sit in those conversations and involve them in those conversations to see to it that it is beneficial. It could be a great, shiny solution, but it, of course, excludes everyone. And if it does, then it doesn't meet the point. It doesn't meet the threshold. So having the conversations by involving the deaf at that point of view, from the planning stages, and seeing to it that aside from that involvement, there is a follow through. In terms of a standardized Kenyan Sign Language, I would like Leonida to speak a bit on that in terms of the standardization and what that would look like. But in terms of what you asked about, involving the deaf is most important. She had some insights, so I'm going to ambush you a bit, my dear.
I will respond to her personally. Our time is not in our side.
Thank you very much. For other questions, you can meet presenters individually. So, for other questions, you meet presenters. Okay, thank you very much. Now let me invite Mr. Joseph to tell us about the dinner so that also you have time to refresh yourselves and dress up. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. How was the day? Huh? Perfect. When it is perfect, in Ugandan Sign Language, how do you do that? Perfect. Kenya? It's there, perfect. South Africa? Perfect. How do you sign perfect? Okay. In Ethiopia? Perfect. The sign of perfect. Zimbabwe? The sign of perfect. Okay. Wow. So we are at the end of the sessions of today. I think everybody enjoyed the presenters and their presentations. I have seen that many people were motivated with the presentations, especially the last paper presentations. I have seen some people were raising questions, but I think you will continue to explain to them to know more. So for the program of today, I think the technician tomorrow, make sure that we have a warm-up music. We are not in the church. You have to bring a warm-up music for people to enjoy. As you see, the weather is not good. You have to bring a music for people. So we have, as we informed before, we have the program of Garadina. I guess all of you are ready. To be ready is to be on the list to go and visit the tall man called Laurier, the one who is registering people to attend to Garadina. It will be a good moment. I told you in the morning, there are some people who want to greet one another, who want to know more about one country to another. There are some people who want to go and meet with a deaf-blind person or other speakers or presenters. So please be there. It will be on the rooftop of this hotel. You know, most of you. Okay. Laurier? Where is Laurier? Okay. Be ready for people who want to pay. It's not for free. People, they have to pay. The second announcement related to that, also, I see how you are dressed. You are dressed like people who are in the conference. But for those who can attend the gala dinner, it's possible to go to change their dresses depending on how you want to. Yes. So I think when it is gala dinner, it is a place where you go to enjoy. It's not a place like this conference. So go to change your dresses if you want. If not, if it's not possible, no problem. But we wish you to have a good gala dinner. I think all of you, we meet to the rooftop. The time is 6:30 p.m. up to 9 p.m. All of us will be there. Thank you very much. Enjoy your gala dinner. Thank you. Rodier. Come on. Sit here. For those who have already paid, come and take a voucher to this man. Voucher, like a ticket. Yes. Come and take your ticket. Okay. Thank you very much. Done. See you tomorrow morning. For those who will not be in gala dinner, for those who are together with us in gala dinner, see you. Thank you.
Thank you, and keep the momentum. Today, you were very active. Keep the momentum for tomorrow's session.